It was a stormy night. The kind of night where the city seemed to hold its breath, streets empty, shop shutters down, and the only sound was the relentless pounding of rain against the cracked pavements. In one forgotten alley, dimly lit by a flickering streetlight, 3 men cornered a stranger. Their fists and boots landed mercilessly on him. His shirt was torn, blood streamed down his face, but his eyes were strangely calm, as if he had accepted his fate. "You think you can walk here, old man?" One of the thugs spat, driving his boot into the stranger's ribs. Another raised a metal rod, preparing to strike his head. But before the blow could fall, a trembling voice echoed through the storm. "Stop, you'll kill him." The thugs turned, surprised. Standing there was Amelia, a 20-year-old waitress. She was drenched, her umbrella broken by the storm, but her eyes blazed with desperate courage. "Leave him alone," she cried. The men laughed at her audacity. "Mind your business, girl. This trash deserves it." But Amelia's legs moved before fear could stop her. She ran forward, shielding the bleeding man with her own body. "Please, he's had enough. Just go." For a moment, the thugs stared. Then, mocking her bravery, they shoved her aside. "Fine, keep your trash. Don't say we didn't warn you." With cruel laughter, they vanished into the rain. Amelia fell to her knees, her heart pounding. She gently lifted the stranger's head onto her lap. His eyes, dark and piercing even through the pain, locked on hers. "You're safe now," she whispered. But what she didn't know was that this stranger wasn't a victim at all. He was Leonardo Rossi, the most feared Mafia boss in the city. And every bruise, every drop of blood, had been staged, all for her. Amelia dragged the stranger home, struggling under his weight. Her one-room apartment smelled faintly of medicine and cheap coffee. She laid him on her bed, fetched her little first aid kit, and cleaned his wounds with trembling hands. "You shouldn't fight men bigger than you," she muttered, wrapping his ribs with strips of cloth. "One day, you'll get yourself killed." To her surprise, he chuckled softly despite the pain. "And yet, you saved me." His voice was deep, smooth, strangely soothing. She blushed, shaking her head. Anyone would have done the same. But that wasn't true. No one in this city stopped for strangers anymore. And Leonardo knew it. That was why he had chosen her. Days passed. Amelia fed him soup from her own meager supplies, scolded him for being reckless, and even lent him her blanket on cold nights. The stranger never spoke much about himself. She assumed he was just another man crushed by the city's cruelty. But in reality, Leonardo Rossi, the king of the underworld, was watching her with fascination. The girl who had once served him coffee at her diner and treated him like a nobody had now given him something more dangerous than fear or power. She had given him kindness. Leonardo healed slowly. He insisted on helping Amelia with chores, washing dishes, fixing a broken chair, even cooking badly. She laughed at his clumsy attempts, and in those moments, he felt more human than he had in years. One evening, as the sun set behind the skyline, Amelia asked softly, "Do you have family? Anyone waiting for you?" Leonardo's chest tightened. He thought of his empire, his soldiers, his enemies, the blood on his hands. Then he looked at her gentle face and lied. "No, no one waits for me." Her eyes filled with sympathy. "Then, stay, at least until you're strong again." He smiled. Not the smile of a broken man. The smile of a predator who had found what he wanted. And Amelia, unaware of the darkness behind his eyes, began to feel her heart betray her. But shadows don't stay hidden forever. One night, Amelia was walking home from her diner shift when a black car screeched beside her. Rough hands dragged her inside. She screamed, kicked, but they tied her down. When she opened her eyes, she was in a warehouse, surrounded by men with guns. A scarred man sneered, "So, this is the girl who has our boss distracted." Amelia froze. "Boss, what are you talking about?" The man chuckled darkly. "You don't even know, do you? Poor girl, you've been living with the devil himself." Before she could ask, the doors burst open. Black cars, armed men, and in the middle of it all, him. Not the helpless man she saved. Not the fragile stranger she fed soup. But the Mafia king, Leonardo Rossi, draped in power. His suit sharp, his eyes cold, his presence commanding. The kidnappers panicked. "Rossi, What followed was chaos. Gunshots thundered. Blood sprayed across the walls. Amelia screamed as bodies fell one by one. And when silence finally returned, Leonardo walked calmly toward her. He knelt, untied her ropes, and whispered gently, "Are you hurt?" But Amelia's eyes were wide with horror. Who are you?" His jaw clenched. "The man you saved. The man who loves you. But also, the man the world fears." Amelia recoiled. "You lied to me. You tricked me into believing you were weak." "I am weak," Leonardo said desperately, gripping her trembling hands. "Not against bullets. Not against enemies. But against you. Amelia, I staged everything because I needed you to see me, not the monster, not the boss. Just me." Tears streamed down her face. "You've killed people. You rule with fear. How could you ever be just a man?" "Because I love you." His voice cracked, the mighty Mafia king begging like a broken boy. "For the first time in my life, I love someone. And I'll burn the world if it means keeping you safe." Her heart wanted to believe him. But the blood on his hands screamed louder than his words. "I can't," she whispered, pulling away. "I can't love a murderer." And she left him standing in the warehouse of corpses, his empire silent around him. Leonardo didn't stop her. He could have ordered his men to bring her back. He could have locked her away like treasure. But he didn't. For the first time in his life, he let someone go. Days turned into weeks. Amelia quit her job, moved away, and tried to forget. Leonardo, though, never forgot. His empire ran, his enemies still feared him, but his soul was empty. Power was ash in his mouth. Until one evening, news shattered him. Amelia had been caught in the crossfire of a gang war. A stray bullet had taken her life. Leonardo rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. She lay lifeless on the bed, her face peaceful, as if asleep. The Mafia king who made the city kneel, collapsed to his knees beside her, sobbing like a child. At her grave, he whispered through tears, "You saved me once. But I couldn't save you. Maybe in another life, Amelia, I'll be the man you deserved." When he stood again, his eyes were no longer those of a man in love. They were the eyes of a monster reborn. That night, the city burned. His enemies fell one by one. The world remembered Leonardo Rossi not as a lover, but as the Mafia king whose heart died with a poor waitress who dared to save him. And that is how one girl's kindness changed everything. She saved a man, but in the end, she created a legend. A legend of love, betrayal, and a tragedy that consumed an entire city.